Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Hi there. I'm Eli Noam. I'm the director of the Columbia Institute for Teleinformation, which hosts and sponsors the observatory, which Leon has founded and is running and has organized this conference. We have a totally sold-out event, but we do have a few sleepyheads. So we'll get going here. Now, Columbia University, the Columbia Business School, we're still in these slightly tight quarters that have not been refurbished for a while because we have just raised $500 million for two new buildings, brand new, and a brand new campus on 125th Street. So in a few years, which they had told us in 5 years, which they told us for the last 10 years, we will be moving and we will have ample facilities for this great event. Tomorrow, we are meeting at the Faculty House, which is nearby, but a different building. Leon will give you details. So you're here. We are all interested in the subject. We all know money makes the world go round. And digital money makes the digital world go rounder and faster and ever faster. And this has a lot of business implications, societal implications, regulatory implications. We are talking about them today. I want to thank several people who brought us here. Leon Perlman, who organized all this. Jason Buckwhite, who is somewhere outside, but he has kind of organized many of the things here. Corey Spencer, similarly. Michael Wexler, similarly. They're all working very hard outside. Jolie McPhee in the back, who is transmitting this via the internet to millions of delighted fans. And also, in particular, our first speaker, Jason Lamb of the Gates Foundation, which has made this DFS observatory possible. Here he is. All right. Now, DFS, of course, is new in many ways, but maybe not so new. The telegraph was used almost immediately for transferring, for money transfers, and it was digital if you think about it, DDA, telex machines, but the telegraph use of a formal transfer mechanism goes back 146 years. I looked it up. So we have a past here. We have also more recent past of DigiCash and CyberCash and First Virtual and Mondex, for those of you who remember. So there's a past. And of course, there's an active present, which we all represent here. But there's also a future, which is what I am personally interested in particular. What happens if all of the things that we're interested in will actually happen when we get what we wish for? What kind of economic, financial, regulatory, monetary system will we have? And so when it comes to these to policy issues, people often focus on the immediate issue, which is particularly the inclusion part, which is really exciting, kind of billions of people for the first time connected financially, or about mobility or similar things. But I'm interested in the macro effects and the effects on the macroeconomics as a discipline and as a tool of government. What is really interesting here and what we represent is that we see let's call it entrepreneurship in money. Not with money, but of money itself. Money used to be kind of a bit of a boring, standardized product, on purpose boring and standardized so people would have confidence and wouldn't have to ask many questions. So now we have, however, this kind of, and heavily regulated. Now we have kind of the ability to create new instruments, new types of money, and not things that we can do with money, but money that has properties baked into it. Cash that can pay interest, cash that can deposit itself, money that can time its own spending, money that can record where it came from and where it went, money with collateral, money where creditors can monitor its use, or money which communicates with the owner or the creditor, monies that can own discounts, And people will, and so inevitably several things will happen here in this entrepreneurship. One, of course, is government will try to keep control. That's not likely to be very easy or desirable. Secondly, there will be these private monies because there will be many approaches, and I don't see there kind of an easy convergence. And there will be intermediaries that will bridge these different styles. Money will be private, money will be competitive, money will be globalized rather than nationalized, and money will be created in many ways by private institutions in different locations. And that has implications, for example, in particular, on monetary policy. I mean, that was one way in which governments kept control over how kind of the economy would be working. The money supply, the money velocity, and so on. So now, what are the tools that government can still use in order to influence the money supply, the velocity, the interest rates in this environment, while facing all kinds of stability issues of kind of quite novel. If money pays interest and somebody there in Slovakia, a bank raises its interest rates by a few points, then automatically there will be trillions of dollars from every phone, from every wallet, moving into that economy and back and forth. And so there are kind of issues there that we have not really encountered yet, but we will encounter. And before things come crashing down on us, or before government will clamp down on all of it by kind of saying, oh, we don't know what's going to happen, it behooves us to think these things through, which is what academics can do, and this is what Columbia University hopefully can help contribute, and you, whether it's from government, academia, but in particular the private sector and the financial sector can help us understand and work with and debate and discuss with us. So now, for example, there could be on the upside the ability for governments to customize monetary policy. So it's not one size fits all to the country or to the region, but you could have smart money enables also smart macroeconomic policy that can target certain groups of people and gives them higher, lower, whatever interest type things. I mean, we can start thinking in ways that we have not thought before because the tools weren't there. Now the technology tools are there. Now we got to have kind of the intellectual tools too to apply to this particular subject. And so I welcome you for coming here to Columbia, finally on a non-rainy day, and sharing with us today and many of you tomorrow too. Leon, who made all this possible, will now talk about the conference.
Okay. Jason?
Not inside the room.
Okay, let's see if we can find my presentation.
I will look for him.
Okay. See. Trying to find out where the thing is. Oops. There, got it. Okay. Hidden, but here we are. But we couldn't find it, but we got it. What's up? Yeah. Okay, thanks, Professor Noam. Ellie's a legend of the business school. Thank you for your opening remarks, and welcome everybody. What a great crowd. Welcome to the 6th Annual Digital Financial Services Payments and Blockchain Summit. Thank you for those who've traveled from around the world and from the US to be here. It's a sold-out crowd. I think people, as Ellie said, are a bit late. It's New York traffic. I'm Leon Perlman, head of the Digital Financial Services Observatory and founder of this conference. It's the annual marquee event at Columbia Business School. We've got a very compelling agenda today, as you can see from your booklets and online. And for the next 2 days, today's especially compelling with a number of very broad topics with high-level speakers. In fact, I think we're competing with another interesting event going on in DC round about now. So you're forgiven for looking at your phone if you look at your Twitter feed. And speaking of Twitter, we have our hashtag DFSNY17. So a bit about the observatory and CITI, founded in '83 by Ellie. It's a research center for communications and technology, and it's been involved in DFS, as it's termed now, since 2005, when I first met Ellie and introduced him to the topic. So it's evolved from mobile commerce as it was then, mobile payments, mobile money, to DFS. DFS, very broadly, is a system of allowing people to access financial services, those financially excluded, and at the bottom of the pyramid, cheaply and affordably through their mobile phones. So the observatory, which was, again, as Eddie mentioned, funded graciously by the Gates Foundation, started activities last March. And it's a business and policy of digital financial services. It was a need identified for a dedicated legal policy and technology regulatory institute on DFS. It's the first one of its kind in the world, in fact. So thank you, Jason. The objectives: legal and business and regulatory focus, thought and policy leadership in DFS, create centralized knowledge base for the community worldwide, and I think you'll see from the activities a bit later, we've been very successful in that. We bridge silos between regulators, standard-setting bodies, international bodies, industry and business. We do a lot of capacity building through our webinars and other outreaches, and a convener for groups in the DFS community and its adjacencies. So if you look at our website, a lot of people send us publications, which we publish and we curate that. So it's become a kind of a honeypot for DFS around the world. So our activities so far, we have a massive database of legal regulatory policy on DFS globally. I'll show you a slide of that later. We're developing model DFS-related laws and regulations. We've got the annual summit, the webinars and roundtables, commentaries of analysis of new laws and regulations and developments in DFS, and, as I said, close collaboration with everybody involved in the industry. This is our website. It's mobile friendly, so if you want to peek at it, you're very welcome to on your phones, dfsobservatory.com. This is the database, which is really built fit for purpose from the ground up. It's completely integrated. Right now, it's got about 55 countries in it, and heavily used by those around the world. It's completely curated. So the idea is that you don't need to. We have keywords. You can see on the left-hand side. It's currently categorized, so very easy for people to access and get the information. The search is very drills down into the specific topics, and more importantly, what we do is we actually analyze the laws and regulations and summarize it. So if you're going to download it eventually, you don't need to read the whole thing. You can just get the essence, and we do that. So it's the only facility of its kind in the world that does that, and as I said, we're very glad to see how this is used. We also have a number of webinars which we do, and in fact, we start at 6:30 a.m., so we're all up and running here to get going at about 5:30 to prepare. The reason for that is we try to accommodate all the decent time zones all the way up to Indonesia. So I know it's a long day. We've got topics. We've had topics on anti-money laundering, digital identity, on payment systems, many. We've got hundreds of participants, and what we have is we have a quiz afterwards, which is part of the enhanced capacity building, and it's a graded quiz. And very enthusiastic users, like I said, and this is free. It's the only one of its kind in the world that's free. So very glad to see the take-up of especially the webinars. And in fact, right now, There are a few hundred people from our webinar participants who are viewing all the way up to, if they're still awake, up to Indonesia, even Australia who are watching now. So we gave them that facility. Okay, so just a little bit about the summit. I founded this summit and organized it for a number of years, and when I joined Columbia, we integrated it into the DFSO activities. It's very unique in that from the program you'll see it's got a very cross-sector focus, so we don't sort of look at silos. Bring everybody together, mix it up, so that you learn something, not just the usual navel-gazing at a particular silo conference where you just know everybody. It's network and learn. And uniquely, it also has a developed and developing world focus. So it's now 2 days. It used to be 1 day, but because of the demand and the expansive program, I introduced Innovators and Investors Day, which is tomorrow, June 9th, for those who've got tickets. It's in Faculty House. This year's theme is the emerging payments, fintech, and innovation, and blockchain. So you'll see from the agenda we cover quite a bit of that. Some of the sessions today, there's some keynote, global payments and mobility overview, emerging payments and DFS in developing world, and then we go to the developed world, emerging payments in retail and globally, regulatory ID, privacy, security, consumer protection, blockchain, which is a hot topic, of course, digital ledger technologies and digital fiat currencies. Welcome. So pretty comprehensive. Tomorrow, again, is the Investors and Innovators Day. There's topics such as impact investing, VC funding of fintechs, innovation hubs, and regulatory sandboxes. And we've got over 20 startups and innovators who will describe their journey in becoming a fintech. So just a reminder, tomorrow we're not here. We've got a bigger venue because we're expecting a bigger crowd. It's in Faculty House, which is going east, and it's on, if you go up Amsterdam Avenue, for those who know New York, it's just off Amsterdam Avenue, off West 116th Street. So just ask if you need help on finding it. So learn, network, and have fun. Please also ask questions. The questions make the event even more compelling than it is. And of course, tweet. So that's our hashtag, DFSNY17. So with that, I'll hand over to David Symington of the UN, who's going to introduce the next set of speakers. David.